anything, and you make it come back to him. And you can slice a bad guy's head off. No, we'd never do that.
When you ask your question, don't get too close to the mic.
So my question is, I read Sean Howe's book, Untold Story of Marvel Comics, and in it, like during the start of Marvel, a lot of the early creators like yourself, Steve Ditko and Kirby, would kind of regret being in comics because of how like the negative feedback some people say, like it's for kids, the guys upstairs at Goodman's, at the other magazines would make fun of you guys. I kind of want to know how that perspective changed from regretting being in comics to now where we're like in this big building celebrating comics to the movies and everything like that.
Summarize that. My perspective? Well, I will say, when I started in comics, nobody had any respect for comic books except the kids who were reading them and the stupid adults. Because they really weren't very good. I'm back to the late 1940s and early 50s, because all the publishers had the same idea. Don't bother with dialogue, don't bother with characterization, don't worry about a great plot. Give me a lot of action and fighting and action. That's all they wanted. So it wasn't till way later that comics. In fact, I remember after we did the Fantastic Four, we started getting fan mail. We had never gotten fan mail, and the letters were written in crayon. But then, after another month or two, they started being written in pencil. And then, we didn't have ballpoint pens then, they started being written in ink. And after about 6 or 8 months, we were getting fan mail that was typed. And I knew we were onto something. We were getting a better audience. See, in the beginning, the reason I changed my name, I used to have a real name. It was Stanley Martin Lieber, a nice, normal name. And I thought someday I'd write the great American novel. And I didn't want to use my name on those dumb comic books. So I shortened it to Stan Lee. But then I became better known as Stan Lee, so I legally changed it to that. And I know that wasn't the question, and you couldn't care less.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Stan. You've talked a lot about the history of Marvel Comics, and everything I've read indicates that it's very much been a family business. And you work for your uncle at the start. I was wondering...
No. Cousin-in-law. Real close relationship.
So I guess I was just wondering how you would describe and characterize the relationship you had with Martin Goodman over the 40s through the 60s.
The experiences I had with Martin Goodman was the publisher, and he was the husband of a cousin of mine. And one day I heard, and he published a lot of books, not just comics. He had men's magazines, sport magazines, Western magazines, everything you could think of. Pulp magazines, they're all pulps. And one day somebody said to me, hey, I hear that they are looking for a new assistant in the company. So I applied for the job. I must have been the only guy who applied. I got the job. I never saw Martin. I just spoke to, I found out that the opening was in the comic book department, which at that time was run by Simon and Kirby, Joe Simon, Jack Kirby. And they hired me as a gopher. They hired me to fill the ink wells, as I told you, they used ink in those days, and to erase the pages and go down and get them a sandwich at lunch hour. But little by little, they would ask me to write. If a page had to be rewritten, they didn't want to waste time. They'd say, Stan, rewrite that page, or give me a new blurb or a caption, or give me an idea for a story. Little by little, they had me work into writing, and then they got fired. I never really knew what they were fired for, but suddenly I was alone in the department. It had only been a 3-man department, and now I'm there. And I saw Martin Goodman for the first time. He came into the office and he said, I know you, don't I? I said, yeah, I'm your cousin, I don't know. I'm related.